Hello and welcome to another edition of City Talk, where we try to figure out what do these people around here do all day. And by these people, I mean the human beings who work for the city of Pittsburgh. Let's say hello to Dan Buczynski. Dan, welcome to the program.
Hi, John. How are you?
Not bad. So I know, and we're about to inform the viewers, that you make signs, and you've been making signs for a number of years, and you have a coworker who also helps you with that. Does that mean, what is your official title? Sign maker? What do they call you?
I'm a sign painter, even though I've never picked up a paintbrush. So, but I take that back. I did pick up a paintbrush once to do something in Hazelwood, but it was one project over almost 13 years.
Did it have anything to do with the city?
Yeah. There was a crosswalk connector over by the mural, Elizabeth Street, I think it is, a little parklet. I did painted like a looks like a game piece. So
okay, so when you were a little boy growing up in Pittsburgh, did you say, you know, some people want to be a fireman and some people want to be a policeman, I want to be a sign maker?
No. No, I didn't then, and still probably don't know what I want to do when I grow up, but my dad worked in the sign shop for 30 years. So we had a little bit of overlap where we had like a father and son duo working, you know, like making every sign in the city.
How about that? You visited him when you were little, and did you think one day this might be my job?
I did visit him not only when I was little, but I used to work for a software company down on Railroad Street, and so at lunchtime I would just walk around taking photos, and tons of times I would end up in the building saying hi and taking photos of all the signs and all that kind of stuff. So I was in and around the sign shop well before I started working for the city. So.
And are you in the sign shop now, or is this just how you decorate your home because you're so into city signs?
Oh yeah, this is just, I painted my background. No, that's just a virtual background. Yeah, I had to come home because I don't have a webcam at work. So.
Oh, okay, but you've taken a little bit of work home with you.
Yeah, that's just a virtual background.
A little slow on the uptake. I think that's how I got this job. So, but well, you evolved in it because your dad was doing it. And he worked there for 30 years. Holy cow, that's quite a legacy between the two of you.
Yeah. He would ask me, oh man, well, I've been there, I started in 09, so probably in like 05, he started asking me like, would you want to come down and work there? And at the time, I was just starting to learn, like I'm all self-taught as far as graphic design goes. So I was learning a lot where I was, and I was like, I don't really want to stop working here, just, you know. But between 05 and 09, I kind of fell out of love with like corporate environments and just the ugliness of that. So
obviously you were a graphic artist in an ugly corporate environment.
Yeah, for a long time. I had a lot of hats there too. But yeah, so I did web design. I did, you know, just a lot of computer graphics for a software company. Cubicles and yeah.
Awesome. So is this much more creative, or at least, you know, you're doing something that's useful to humanity?
It's a lot more creative than I thought it was going to be. Like when I took the job, I kind of took it because I was like, well, you know, the graphics industry is really competitive. It's really cutthroat. It's really, you know, you could go in one day and your coworker was just gone. Like, you had a 10 o'clock meeting with somebody and then they were just let go. And so the city seemed like, well, it might not be as creative, it might not be as challenging, but at least it's as steady as you could hope for. And then once I got there, I started finding avenues that I could take that would allow me to get a little bit more creative. And the longer it went, the more work I did, the more freedom I got, the more I got to experiment. And I can be pretty creative. Like it's a good mix of like having creative stuff to do, and then like when you're doing street signs, it's just kind of like throw the headphones on, listen to podcasts, and just, you know, let the muscle memory take over. So yeah.
The creative things you did was to create a kindness zones in the spirit of Mr. Rogers. Tell us how you came up with that.
Yeah, well, the mayor, the way that I remember it is that the mayor had been to Braddock, and Braddock had a series of signs that were, they weren't like the ones that we came up with were, they were more resembling regular street signs. The ones in Braddock were just like metal signs, but they were just kind of like positive messages. I can't remember now offhand, but the mayor said, well, like, I'd like that. Can we do something in that spirit? And so I came up with, I think, like 4 or 5. And then the mayor picked the 2 that he liked the best, which was the no hate zone and the kindness zone. So,
But I believe he rejected the "Don't be a jagoff" signs.
yeah, no jagoffs. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. He said he was like, well, that's a little bit, that's more of a, like a negative thing. We want to keep it positive. And I was like, all right. So
let's take the jagoffs out of Pittsburgh. You're going to have a thin population.
yeah, I'm on board.
So where did you grow up?
I grew up in Beachview. From the time I was 2 to the time I was in my early 20s. And then I just kind of bounced around the South Hills, and I've landed in Overbrook. So I've been here for almost the exact amount of time I've been with the city. So.
And did you go to school for graphic design?
Nope. I went to Pitt for English writing. So
that took be completely useless.
Exactly. Not worth the paper it's printed on. I liked college. I liked going and I liked learning, but yeah, I all self-taught. Like when I graduated college, I literally didn't know how to use Windows. Like I in college I used a word processor. That was it.
You're talking about the computer program and not the things that you open to let in fresh air.
Yeah. Like when I got my first job, like in that corporate environment, my friend worked there, and he's like, just say that you know Excel and Word. Like everybody knows it. Nobody's going to ever question it. Just say that you know it. It'll help you. It's the only time I ever lied on a resume. And wouldn't you know, they had a skills test for Excel and I was like, oh, dude, I hate you. So I got by the skin of my teeth, but it was the last time I'd ever say I know something that I didn't.
Did you? What did you think you were originally going to do with your degree in English writing?
I really didn't put a lot of thought into it, actually. When I started at Pitt, I went to Pitt because they had a good program going with the filmmakers, Pittsburgh filmmakers. And in my head, I was going to be a photojournalist, or I was going to work for National Geographic, some kind of photography.
Mm-hmm.
I got talked into, I took a creative writing class, and the professor was just kind of like, well, would you ever consider being a writer? And I was like, you're saying I'm good at this? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, all right. So that's as much thought as I put into it. Switched course, was going to be a writer. And then we had a senior seminar in fiction where they said, okay, the last class, we're going to go over like really good jobs for writers to have and blah, blah, blah. So like after you're graduating, we're going to cover where do you go from here. I'll never forget, they were like doing landscaping really lets you, like, you're out and you're thinking, house painting and I'm like, wait a minute. Like I could have done that without coming here. Like, so it was kind of like, I did a little bit of editing for a really small company called, it was Lee Shore Agency in Millvale. So I would get these manuscripts, like novels and novellas, and like literally, I think I got $5. No, it was $5 for a short story and maybe $7 for a novel. I can't remember, but I would spend more money drinking coffee, reading these things, and making all my notes and all that kind of stuff than I would make. So that went nowhere fast.
Are you a big fan of the song "Signs" by the 5-Man Electrical Band?
Not particularly, no.
Are you familiar with the song?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. They
when the word signs, it's annoying to have a song about signs.
Yeah, well, that one in particular, because that one's the one everyone knows, and so like everyone will be like, "Oh, you make signs, huh?" And I'm like, "Yep."
I think there was a remake of that by Tesla or somebody for some
That's
reason.
the one. I knew there was. I couldn't think of who remade it. Yeah, I think it was Tesla.
I thought the original one was much better. I didn't think it needed a remake.
Yeah, well, it's been a while since I've heard the actual song.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. How have you been getting through COVID?
Well, for the longest time, I went to work and I went straight home. work, home, repeat, repeat, repeat. To the store was like a military, mission every time I went in. Then started going to outdoor stuff and felt a little bit more comfortable, felt like I knew how to get by. But yeah, mostly just hanging out with my dogs. That's been the bulk of my life for the last, 18 months.
Oh, how many dogs do you have?
2. I'm actually surprised they're not in here with me making noise. It's pretty
Yeah.
amazing. Yeah, two beagle mixes.
So do you see yourself writing this out for a number of years?
COVID or the city?
No, signs your job.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
sounds like
I really like what I do. I like working for the city. I have no intention of going anywhere. We'll see, I guess.
yeah, I'm going nowhere fast, but not necessarily by design. So do you have any hobbies?
Yeah, I have lots of hobbies. I ride my bike constantly, both street, trails, mountain biking, any kind of biking I can do, I do.
Do you like the bike lanes then?
I have a love-hate relationship with bike lanes only because they're largely used as loading zones. And so, yeah.
So you're right, and then boom, you're obstructed.
Yeah, and worse than just obstructed is when, and especially down near the hotels, the trucks will just sit there, and in the winter in particular, you'll have to go around them. So you're now going in opposing traffic to get around these trucks. And so it got to the point where I go around, when it's not icy, I will go around the point. But now that switchback opened up off the Smithfield Street Bridge, that was a lifesaver. So now 9 times out of 10, unless the Mon Wharf is flooded or there's ice, I'll go down that switchback around the point and come in. I just avoid going through town altogether. But yeah, so I don't really use the bike lanes all that much. I'm mostly just in the street.
And your office is in the Strip District. Is that one of your favorite Pittsburgh neighborhoods?
I really like. I've worked most of my adult life in the Strip District, so it's almost like my second home at this point. So yeah, and it's insane. Friends of mine that I used to work with at the software company, they've all since left Pittsburgh, and so they haven't seen the Strip District since the cork factory was abandoned. And so way back 07, 08, whenever they fixed that, I would send them pictures. Can you believe this? This is what this looks like now. And then every once in a while they'll follow me on Instagram and they'll be like, that's the Strip District? That's holy crap. They don't, it's you turn around and there's a loft where there was nothing the day before. So it's
yeah, and I noticed they're still building things there as we speak. I saw a giant crane yesterday constructing something or other.
Yeah, mostly lofts. It just seems like if you leave a building for more than 5 minutes, somebody swoops in and turns it into luxury lofts.
Yeah, but I never meet any of these wealthy people who can afford the luxury lofts. I know they exist, they must, or they wouldn't be built.
Yeah, I thought we would hit critical mass by now. But they keep building, so I guess they keep coming. So
would you recommend a career in government service?
Yeah, I mean, my experience is kind of different than most jobs, I would think, because I'm I work with a lot of people, but I'm also able to be isolated. So my experience isn't a lot of people who are interacting with the public a lot and everything like that. But yeah.
How many different kinds of machines are involved or computers are involved in making the signs?
Well, it's almost, at this point, it's almost 2 sign shops. So there's the computer room and so there's one room that has the computers and vinyl cutters and a vinyl printer, and these big work tables. And that's where most of my work happens now. When I first started, there's a silk screening operation in another room that's essentially a second sign shop. And so with COVID and social distancing and all that kind of stuff, my coworker Greg and I kind of worked out where he he'll take care of like, so when we make stop signs, we'll make like 300 stop signs. We'll make 300, all like huge quantities of like all those signs that go out en masse. So he generally handles that whole part of it. What I do mostly these days is like the one-off signs and the specialty signs. So like I do most of the street name blades. I do like anything that there's a small quantity of, or like, so like parks signs now we're starting to do.
An unusual specialty sign that you've only made once for some unique circumstance?
Yeah, there's a couple, like one of the really fun ones, everybody in Pittsburgh, if they don't know Gus and Yaya's, should know Gus and Yaya's, the shaved ice. So when they started doing work on that bridge and closed that bridge, his business was suffering. And because it's a Pittsburgh institution, I got to like, I got to like make vector art of his cart. Like, so I drew his cart, and then we made these fun signs to kind of direct people to let them know that he's still there. So I can't remember, have an ice day.
Yeah.
Eat, like things like that. But so that was a lot of fun. And the Canton Avenue in Beachview is the steepest street in the continental United States. So Congressman Coghill wanted to do something to like some kind of a marker. So I got to, he's like, do you know anything about Canton Avenue? I'm like, I grew up in Beachview. I know all about Canton Avenue. Give me 5 minutes. Like, whipped up something. And like, so those kind of things are a lot of fun to work on.
Cool, boy. That's a public service letting people know where they can still get their snow cones. And that seems like that bridge has been closed for like 20 years or something.
Yeah, I feel like that's probably just going to be closed now.
Right. All right. Well, Dan Buczynski, thanks so much. Do you have any final thoughts, final words for the humans out there in TV and internet land?
No, just be nice to everybody. And if somebody wants their distance, give it to them, and stay healthy.
Dan Buczynski, the sign guy, thank you so much for joining us. When we come back, you'll meet somebody from the Department of Innovation and Performance. Stay with us on City Talk. Welcome back to City Talk. Say hello to Smyth Welton, known around the office of the Innovation and Performance Committee. Smitty, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
So are you in fact at the City County building as we speak?
Indeed, I am.
But you, like all of us, did a lot of working from home until it was safe to come back, I assume.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I started with the majority of people.
So tell us what your title is and what all you do.
Well, I'm a manager of communication services, and I oversee web, social media, graphic design, and in-house print shop.
So you're constantly making sure that all the websites are up to date, or also in the process of developing new websites if the city wants them?
Yeah, I'm on the front lines of that, because not only am I a manager, I'm also a front-end developer, basically, for the city. So I juggle both of those.
So what was your background that allowed you to get this gig?
I was a freelance web designer and multimedia designer for several years beforehand.
Awesome. And how do you like working for the city, and how challenging has it become?
It gets challenging every year.
So are you actually responsible for at least supervising, at minimum, all the websites of the city?
I supervise a majority of them. Any of them that are made by my team, I supervise, and then there are some third-party ones that we also have to manage.
As we turn more to computers every day for everything we need, I guess the demand has been growing, I assume, for a while.
Oh yeah, it's the mainstream of communication practically, so it's in very high demand.
All right, so you were a independent web designer for a while, and how did you go to school for that?
Yeah, actually, I'm self-taught to begin with, and then later on, I decided to get some, degrees in it to be able to land a job.
So I've asked the people this question before. Whenever the other kids were saying, "When I grow up, I'm going to be a fireman," and "Or I'm going to be a policeman," "I'm going to be a baseball player." Did you know you were going to be a web designer, or was that the furthest? You didn't even know what that was, maybe.
Well, yeah, I didn't know I was going to be an emergency medical technician first, and then I didn't know I was going to be a web designer.
Wow. So that's a tough job being an EMT. What was that like?
It was pretty hard. I did it for 15 years. And
Wow.
I did web design and computer work on the side.
So a lot of carrying people in stretchers in and out of ambulances, transporting them to hospitals, as one would think.
Oh yeah, the most awkward people are always in the most awkward positions. It's never like a textbook scenario, getting someone out of a house. And over the years, it started taking its toll on my body. So it was time to move on.
You must have been working out a lot. Maybe you still do, but during that period, you got to carry.
Well, I was younger.
So was that why? Because it was a little too physically demanding after 15 years, and you're like, you know what, I'm going to do something where I don't have to lift heavy things.
Well, my heart and soul was into computer and graphic design, digital art. So it only made sense for me to retire from EMS and take on, the computer full time.
Good for you. So it sounds like you've found your dream job, or at least one of them.
Yeah.
Where did you grow up?
Vision Square.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
A lot of eating at the Square Cafe when it was located there, even though it's there.
Well, things were much different in Regent Square when I was a kid. So,
Oh, it wasn't fancy,
yeah.
more rough and tumble.
Yeah, pizza shops and dive bars.
Okay.
So,
The real Pittsburgh.
that's right. Yeah.
So did you spend a lot of time at the pizza shops and the dive bars?
Yeah, I did. The pizza shop always had like the newest arcade games in it. So, that's where we go. Because, this was even before Atari. So.
Oh, but were you playing Pong or was it after that?
No, they had like, a game called 1947 where, you were shooting down, World War II planes, and, I got a high score and I got a free large pizza. So that was one of the motives for going to that place.
Awesome. And that also, I suppose, furthered your interest in computers.
Oh, it did. Yeah. I mean, I played video games when I was a kid all through childhood. I also liked art a lot. So combining the two.
What kind of art?
Drawing, illustration, even some sculpting with clay. I liked all that stuff when I was a kid.
Do you like the Warhol Museum?
Yes, I've only been there once, but it was really cool. Yeah.
All right. And how have you been coping with COVID, even though I thought we were out of it, but then we're not. So it's sort of here, but it's not as bad, but maybe it's getting worse, as you know. How have you been dealing with that?
I guess the same as everybody else. When you have a companion, though, I think it's easier for people than, people who are alone. Yeah, it's much tougher on them. But when you live with somebody, it's easier to get through.
And you have a companion?
Yeah, I'm married. I have
Oh, awesome. That's a companion.
Yeah, believe it or not, someone
Now,
married me.
Some people thrived during the COVID when they had to spend a lot more together, but some people got on each other's nerves. Where did you guys fall in that category?
Well, we still worked, so we're lucky in that fact. So we're busy most of the day. So logging off the computer is kind of like getting off work a little bit. And we worked in separate parts of the house. Made it easier.
Awesome. Okay. Well, yeah. So she had her office and you had yours, and then
Yeah,
you sort of met in the living room at the end of the day. Yeah.
that's about it. Met in the kitchen to make dinner.
Oh, awesome. That you making dinner, or her, is what you trade off?
Trade-off.
Yeah. Who's a better cook?
I'm going to say her, but I got my, couple specialty dishes. in there.
But you're no slouch.
That's right.
What are your specialties?
Tofu fried rice. I can make some Italian meals because my mother handed that down to me, so I can handle myself.
I believe you. How about hobbies? Do you have any hobbies?